Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege for me to continue the topic of pragmatic leadership. So, before I get on to the details of this book, I thought I will give you some high level perspectives that when I was observing the various corporate leaders, I was very keen to understand that how human beings are taking their positions in their life. I found there are two types of people who take their positions. One is taking the position of looking forward to somebody to tell them what they need to do at any given point in time. The other type of people who are really trying to visualize something for the future and then try to guide the rest of the people. So I was wondering why some people are waiting for others to tell them what they need to do, and why few people are taking that position that they need to figure out how to go forward. So even in a group discussion, you will notice that there are people who are simply sitting passive and not making any contribution to the progress of the subject that is being discussed. And there are few people who really take the lead of the whole discussion and try to bring in clarity and then guide them that where they need to go, how they can go, and so on. So it's very strange to understand why human beings are taking different positions in their life. Someone tries to lead the whole thing and someone really waits for somebody to bring in clarity. So this was a very curious observation for me, and then I wanted to figure out how some people are trying to lead the whole situation. So if you look at the entire universe at large, you don't find any animal is trying to take a lead and then try to rest of the animals are following them, etc. You don't generally see those kind of a characteristics, which is very evident in the form of human beings. So although we called lion as the king of forest, etc., it's all our own interpretation of what the lion is doing. So there is no such thing called the king of the forest, etc. It's all in our own kind of a paradigms. So there are several ways the Western world has looked at the context of leadership. For example, Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great Companies, so he discussed about the concept of people. Everybody starts with a incompetency and then they move on to a different level of competency in the characteristics of taking leadership in an organization. All of us are born when we were a small child, we were not competent. In the sense, competency is measured in terms of what we are able to contribute to the rest of the world. So over a period of time, as we grew up, we developed a certain level of competency, either because of education or because of training or because of the upbringing and so on and so forth. So Jim Collins interpreted this, that incompetency to competency levels have been defined by him as level 1, level 2 and so on and so forth. But I was trying to make a different kind of observation, that how one develops these competencies. So although we said that there are different level of competency we need to develop over a period of time, but how do we develop it? So based on my own development in my career as well as what I observed from rest of the people, I found that the human beings develop competencies at 3 levels. Primarily when I was developing this concept of pragmatic leadership, and I went through the various iterations of my own thinking about this idea of practically developing the leadership competency. When the McGraw Education editorial team was also working along with me, we jointly evolved a new model for pragmatic leadership. So that model is based on how an individual starts his career after finishing the education, as a raw graduate or whatever might be their basic qualifications are. So there are many people we found that they are making very rapid progress in their career advancement, and there are many people who are really getting stuck in their own career. So this has been a very serious observation for me, why some people are making rapid progress and why many of them are getting stuck or falling on the wayside in the whole hierarchy of organizational ladder. So what I found is there are people who have developed certain competencies as an individual, which I called it as a personal leadership. You may be wondering what is the new terminology I am trying to bring about as a personal leadership. A personal leadership is nothing but whether we are leading ourselves. So this is a new concept I just wanted to investigate. Because if we are not able to lead ourselves, obviously we will not be able to lead anyone else. So looking back into my own career progression, so I had a lot of difficulty in managing my own emotions in my mid 30s. So when I cannot manage my own emotions, obviously I will not be able to manage anybody else's emotions. So that means for anyone to visualize about future, that means they need a very calm and collected mind. So all our educational systems we have gone through have been focusing more on developing our mathematical skills, technical skills, history, geography, and so on and so forth. They hardly focused on our ability to understand who we are and how do we manage our own emotions. So that means there are very essential skills relating to our own personal management have never been taught. It's very strange, that's the way the educational system is. So all our social upbringing, family inputs and parenting, or you take the academic educations of nearly 20 years we have spent right from our kindergarten to completing our graduation or whatever that we have done. So this entire education has provided only a very high level information, you may call it, and some of these informations are valuable. Some of those, majority of those informations are not of any use for life skills. So personal leadership is the starting point, which I felt that at the formative years of anyone, he must groom himself and develop the basic skills to manage his own self. That I called it as a personal leadership. So the second aspect I felt I must look into the capabilities of a person. Okay, fair enough that he has mastered his own managing his own emotions and so on. So then he starts interacting with the rest of the world. Then how good he is in terms of working in a team. For example, looking back into my own personal career, I happen to be a highly independent, competent individual. So whenever I was put into a team, I generally used to become silent and I don't contribute. I become egoistic and look at people why they are trying to jump in and take lead and so on. So I had a lot of difficulties in terms of contributing in a team. So many a times, although there are people who have mastered their personal leadership, they are not very good in the team environment. So I thought the team leadership is another concept I thought we need to bring in the pragmatic leadership development. So how one is able to work along with a team and then try to bring about results. Because in a team there is no hierarchy and then there is no question of authority coming into picture. So that means we will have to understand the dynamics of the rest of the people's thought process and then we need to bring about certain amount of result. So that means the team leadership is an aspect which is extremely important when we are trying to move in the corporate hierarchy. So many a times I found the all kind of inputs we got in terms of our academic education or the training or whatever. we have never been trained how to work in a team in a cooperative manner. It's very strange. When I was a deputy general manager, I was taken through a team building program, and it was very strange that very advanced stage of my career. I was just trying to understand what it really means to work as a team and so on and so forth. So team leadership is the most important stages in the development of an individual. So we have seen what is personal leadership is, which means a person is trying to master his own self-management, you may call it. The second aspect is the team leadership, where the person is trying to understand how cooperatively work in a team and bring in the synergy for improvement. And having done these two, there are many people who come up to the level of a departmental manager and they are not able to cross that boundary and take into an organizational leadership. I would like to define what is an organizational leadership is all about, meaning that somebody leads the organization, which is a huge establishment in terms of so many stakeholders, and then trying to ensure that the organization moves forward and then everybody is getting benefited in the organization and so on. So leading an organization requires an entirely different kind of skill sets than working as a team leader. So many people who have taken the functional responsibility, they have got stuck that's their boundary. So in rest of my videos I have spoken that this boundary consciousness, by which a person doesn't want to cross beyond his boundary and try to take a big picture of the organization. So I also would like to discuss about what do you mean by a big picture and how one develops the big picture in the future sessions. But for the time being, it is extremely important to see that people cross their boundaries of their functional identity and then try to look at how to manage an organization. That means organizational leadership is an entirely different kind of a skill set, which is far different from the team leadership. So in my book, I discussed about how one develops that skill set to become an organizational leader. So this is the perspective of the book, which I thought in the 40,000 feet perspective. And another aspect I considered in my foreword, I spoken about why I wrote this book and who is my target audience. So unlike the rest of the books that came from the Western world, which has targeted the people who are getting ready to become an organization leaders. But what I found is there was no book available which is addressing the entry-level people who are just entering their career. What are the skill set they need to develop in order to have a personal leadership to start with. My target audience I kept in my mind, there could be young people who are budding career, who can read my book and try to create some kind of a clarity. My book can target the middle level people who are struggling to cross the boundary of a lone player in an organization and want to become a team leaders. The functional managers who could not cross their boundary and become organization leaders and CEOs and so on. So it's very strange to write a book which can be interesting for young people who are starting their career, who have been matured in a corporate career. So these are all what I kept in my mind while I wrote this book. So another aspect I discussed in my foreword is that instead of bringing too many theories of leadership, I thought I need to bring in the Vedic way of looking at human being, and what way we are empowered to make our own life. So I brought the Oriental flavor along with the various learnings from our masters. So I carefully woven the practical psychological approach as well as the kind of a Vedic approach which we have been brought about, and then blended them so carefully such that the people can have a practical wisdom along with the kind of proven concepts of human development. So that is why I call this book as a pragmatic leadership. It is, if you are available, the whole universe is available for you, and hence you can make use of all the resources that are available across the world. So having said that, before I conclude my content on the foreword, where I spoke about the big picture of this book, what is it all about? So I took the two approaches of learning. One is an existential learning, which I called it as an intuitive learning. The other aspect is academic learning. So all of us understand what you mean by academic learning, that you read a book or go and attend a training program or go for some higher education from the B schools and so on and so forth. Invariably, I found these academic educations are very bookish, and they give you certain degrees, but they don't give you practical wisdom. But in terms of the intuitive approach, which is essentially by observation, by learning from seniors and masters, by using your own intuition to understand the various ways this whole cosmos is functioning. So I took more of an existential, intuitive approach in this book, rather than going into models and the academic part of learning. It means I gave an example of agricultural engineer who goes to a college and tries to understand how the plants grow. But whereas an innocent villager who has never gone to school, he knows more about the plants by his own intuition. So I took the more of a farmer's approach in this book rather than the academic way of learning things, because I always found academic way of learning gives you an intellectual appreciation, but it doesn't give you a practical way of really living life. So in this book, that is what I took a more of an intuitive approach. That is why I call this book as a pragmatic leadership. So finally, you will find this book is not very evidently giving you any prescription, because I always felt that giving a prescription doesn't help anyone, because they just take an intellectual appreciation and take a bragging right of what they have learned, but it doesn't bring in a real life existential kind of transformation in the people. So it's extremely important to get into the deepest level of human being, human consciousness, and then try to bring in some kind of a convincing way of living life by which we can fully utilize all the potentials that nature has bestowed on us. I hope that you got a fair amount of idea what this book is all about, and I'm sure that when we are deep diving into each chapters, I will come and explain much more details and share with you. I hope that you really enjoyed this content, and look forward to see you in many more videos. God bless you. Take care.